Okay, all right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome everyone to Fit 5136 again. This is the unit about software engineering. Today is week 4, and we're gonna talk about the requirement engineering process. Okay. We cannot really build the software without knowing what to build and what are the features that we need to implement. So, requirement elicitation plays an important role as part of the software development process. All right. And yeah, so today we're gonna cover about what is the requirement exactly, and there are different types of the requirement as well. We will go through about that, and what would be the process to elicit the requirement. How can we gather the requirement? That kind of thing. Okay. Yep. So yeah, we are still on the early step of the Agile Scrum project management. So first we need to elicit the requirement, collect the requirement from the product owner, that kind of thing, develop the product backlog, and then we can start develop the software. All right. So this is the quote from Fred Brooks. So they said that the hardest single part of building a software system is to decide, precisely what to build. This is exactly the same as the other engineering disciplines. As I mentioned to you before, software engineering is not really far from like civil engineering. We need to build a house, but we don't know how many bedrooms and how many bathrooms. They have no idea what to build as well. So same to the software system, right? So we need to know what are the technical features, what are the functionalities, how can we design the thing, and then we can start building it, right? Okay. And that's why requirement engineering is really, really important. Without requirement engineering, we will not know what to build. But we need to understand what exactly is the requirement. What there are different types of the requirement as well, and we will talk about the process. How can we gather the requirement, talk to the stakeholder, that kind of thing. All right. So requirement is actually just a document, that plays that is in between the real world problems, and this is a software solution that we are going to develop, right? So requirement is like a document, something in the middle that to create a shared understanding among the team. Okay, so that's a document. Okay, and that's why we need the requirement engineering, because if we don't document it properly, it's a little bit hard to understand what exactly that we are going to build. That's why we have requirement engineering process, right? Requirement engineers who is an expert in eliciting the requirement from the client, from the stakeholders, that kind of thing. And requirement engineers or the business analysts, these two positions are really, really important, especially in Europe, because in Europe they have lots of standard, they have very high standard when develop the software, that kind of thing. So the requirement engineers and business analysts will play an important role here. Okay. So basically, the requirement engineering is the process of defining and documenting and maintaining the requirements. Okay, so that's why we need to document it, otherwise we cannot implement it, right? And normally the requirements, okay, are the description of the system services or the constraint that are generated during the requirement engineering process. We talk about the both things, okay, the description and the constraint. The description could be, for example, the calls, online shopping, mobile apps, that kind of thing. It should perform online shopping. That should have like a shopping cart feature, that kind of thing. But the constraint could be that the shopping cart should have like a very low latency. It should be really efficient. It should handle like million transactions per second, that kind of thing. That's a constraint that the system must meet, that kind of thing. Okay. And so requirement, we consider both the description, what it should perform, what it should do, and also the constraint as well. Yeah. And normally the requirements are provided by the clients, and they are usually informal and brief. So the process of finding the detailed requirement is actually called requirement engineering. What happened in real world is that many years ago, I talked to the client, hey, look, I need a piece of software, okay, that can actually generate like 10% incomes or 10% of the profits this year. but what is that piece of software? No one really knows. So that's a very informal, high-level strategic vision from the CEO, right? We need some new feature to increase the sales profit, that kind of thing. This is what happened in real world. But as a software engineers, what kind of software that we are going to develop to increase the 10% profit, right? So that's why they need the requirement engineers. They need to talk to the marketing, talk to the different stakeholder, come up with a team, what kind of feature that we are going to develop here. That's why when we talk about the requirement, there are different types of the requirement. This is what I want to say. From high level perspective, okay, like let's say from the CEO, they just have like a business requirement. Yes, that this is my business objective. I want to increase the sales profit by 10%. But with this kind of business requirement, that's a vision, right, of the whole feature whatsoever that we really want to achieve. But what is the technical, the detail, the system requirement? We also don't know. That's why they need to elicit further. All right. But there are different types of the requirement here. First, from the business point of view. Second, from the user point of view, right? And the third is from the system point of view. That's a system requirement. What the system should do. For example, first, the CEO said, okay, we want to increase the sales profit. That's a business requirement. But from the user perspective is that, to increase the sales profit, the user need a better marketing campaign. So I can purchase more products, that kind of thing, right? And now it becomes the system requirement that, okay, probably, the first feature that we need to implement is the product recommendation, a better search system, that kind of thing, right? Okay, this is an example. Business requirement, user requirement, and the system requirement. Okay? And then it becomes more detail. And for the system requirement, there are two types of the system requirement. First is functional. The second one is a non-functional. The different thing is that the functional requirement will explain what the system should do, okay? But the non-functional requirement will explain how well the system does, okay? It's a different thing, all right? I will explain a little bit more. All right, yeah. This is the different types of the requirement. We talk about the business requirement. What is that the business require that the system to do, and the user requirement is about what is that the user requires the system to do. A user can be a stakeholder. As I mentioned to you, we want to increase the sales profit. There's a business requirement. From the user perspective, maybe say that. We need as a user, I want a better product recommendation system, right? So I can purchase more product. What's next I need to buy, and then it becomes the technical or the functional requirement. Okay, so functional requirement, what the product does. Non-functional requirement, how the product works. Okay, how the product works, it is different from what the product does. All right, constraint. What are the things that the system should prohibit the user to do? All right. And the implementation technical requirement here is that what is the platform that we are going to build? Is that the mobile apps? Is that the website? Is it based on the Windows server? Is it based on the Linux server? That kind of thing. What is the database system? My SQL SQL or like an Oracle database or whatsoever, right? So there are different types of the database system. That's the technical requirement. And these are all, okay, considered as the system requirement. Without the detailed requirement here, it is so hard to design the system, develop the system, okay? Yep. So functional requirement will describe, okay, the functionality of the software system. And an example could be, a user shall be able to search properties for all suburbs. This is about the rental property search, that kind of thing. Think about the real, realestate.com or domain.com.au, that kind of thing, Or another example, at the end of each month, the system shall generate a list of the properties sold or rented, okay? An example is that each property agent shall be uniquely identified by his or her 8-digit employee number. This is the functional requirement, all right? Okay, next. But to write the requirement, it is so difficult. And what happens is that when the requirements are ambiguous or imprecise, it becomes harder for software developers to implement something. Okay, that's why problems will arise when functional requirements are not precisely straight. Okay, or when they are ambiguous, right? Let's take a look at this example. A user shall be able to search a property based on the location. So when we talk about the location, this is really vague, because do we know whether the location is really based on the suburb, based on the postal code, based on the road, street address, or what, right? What kind of location? If someone interpret as a state, okay? Yeah, we're gonna search the property based on the Victoria State, South Australia, New South Wales, that kind of thing. That's too big, right? So we need to be really precise on what kind of locations that we are referring to. Okay. All right. And that's why when we talk about the requirement, it must be complete and it must be consistent as well. So it should not contradict to each other. All right. Complete means that we describe everything, describe all of the functionalities. There is a step, to develop the shopping cart system. Okay. What are the steps that the end user need to do? And it should not contradict with the other feature or the functionality. All right. This is so important. Okay. So in summary, all right, there are different types of the requirement: business requirement, user requirement, system requirement. For the system requirement, there are two types, okay, functional and the non-functional. And when you write the requirement, it should be complete and consistent. It should not be imprecise. It should not be ambiguous. Okay. Yeah. So this is how you write an effective requirement document. And the next one is about the non-functional requirement. Basically, this is just the description of the system of how it should perform. Okay, not the functionality, but it's about how it should perform, rather than the specific behaviors that can be. So, for example, what is the numbers of the customers allowed to access the system? What is the password requirement? The response time, the storage requirement, I/O device capability, and others. Okay, these are the non-functional requirements. I'm gonna give you a few more examples. Let's say, do I have more example here? No. Yeah. I have it here. Okay, I'm gonna. So non-functional requirement, it is so important because let's say you develop the calculator application. All right. Calculator app, think about your mobile phone. The functional requirement is that it should have the plus, minus, multiply, and the divide feature, okay? With the 9 numbers and the equal button whatsoever. That's a functional requirement. But without the non-functional requirement, the UI can be like all over the place, okay? Because when we talk about the non-functional requirement, it's like the look, the overhaul, how the system should behave, how the calculator app should look like. Okay, that's a non-functional requirement. This is an example. Okay, the property management system shall be available to all property agents during the normal working day. This is a non-functional requirement. The downtime within the normal working hours shall not exceed 5 seconds in any one day. Customer must authenticate themselves using their driver license. Okay. After receiving an inspection request, the system must acknowledge with a response email within 10 seconds. Process requirement mandating blah 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 blah. That's the technical development process. Okay. So these are the non-functional requirements. All right. A few more. Yeah. So I think this one. Yeah, I think this one is fine. Okay. Any questions so far? About the functional and the non-functional requirement? If not, maybe let's take let's do some Flux quiz. Okay. All right. Yep. So everyone, please go to the polev.com, okay, /fit5136. I'm gonna put the link in the Zoom chat. polev.com /fit5136. All right, so let's take a look at the correct answer. Okay, so basically the question is that what is the purpose of the requirement engineering? Yes, definitely the answer should be all of the above. Okay, let's see. Yeah, many of the students got it right. So basically we do requirement engineering to develop the software requirement. We need to manage the requirement and also analyze the requirement as well. Okay, so everything. All right. Okay, next, what is that? Oh, requirement elicitation. Actually, sorry about that, okay? Maybe I should give a little bit more, okay? More lecture. Okay, requirement engineering process. Now we're gonna talk about the process, right? In the first, at the beginning of the lecture slide, okay, I talk about what exactly is the requirement. There are different types of the requirement: business, user, system. There are two types of the system requirement: functional and the non-functional. But the key question here is that how can we engineer the requirement? What is the process? How can we elicit the requirement? So I'm going to talk about that. All right. So RE or requirement engineering process, it is a process for to gather the requirement, and there are four main steps here. Okay, first requirement elicitation, requirement analysis, validation, and management. All right, so that's what we need to do during the requirement engineering process. In general, okay, the first step is about the requirement elicitation. So basically, during this step, we really want to discover what is the client requirement. We can use different techniques to discover the requirement. For example, interviews, surveys, there are different techniques. I will talk about that as well. Once we get the requirement high level, right, it's called initial requirement, then we will analyze whether what kind of requirement is there, whether it is the business requirement, user, or the functional, or the system, or the non-functional requirement, right? That's why we need to analyze, and then it takes time, okay? It is an iterative approach. We need to refine and extend the requirement as well. When we write something, the initial requirement maybe is not clear, so that's why we need to refine it, okay? Until it becomes clear. All right. And when you elicit the requirement, you may involve like many stakeholders, including end user, the managers, software engineers, including the software maintainer, the domain expert, or whatsoever, right? So it really depends on the types of the software system, okay? But the first and the most important step is that you need to discover or identify who are the stakeholder of the software system, okay? So this step is called stakeholder identification, all right? So when you identify the stakeholder, it means that you need to identify who are the individuals or the groups or the organizations that may be impacted or may be impacted by or have an impact on the project or initiative. That's the software system that we are going to develop, right? And this can include like customers, employees, suppliers, regulatory bodies, shareholder, competitors, general public. So these are the stakeholders, okay? Let's say we're gonna develop the Cole's mobile application, okay? Potential stakeholder could be, the end users, okay? We may need to involve with the bank, okay? Bank, the third-party payment gateway system, that kind of thing. we may need to involve with the accountant. How can we correctly generate the invoice? Okay. What about the tax? We may need to involve with the lawyer. We just want to make sure that the app that we develop is it is compliant, right, with the laws or that kind of thing. Okay, this is an example. And once we come up with the stakeholders, then we need to categorize them, whether they are the primary stakeholders, are they the secondary stakeholder, or the external, right? Okay, so primary stakeholders, they are those who are directly affected by the system, right? But for the secondary stakeholders, they are indirectly affected, okay? And the external, they are just outside the organization, okay? Yeah, so the first step, all right, as part of the requirement engineering, you need to identify who are the stakeholders, who is going to use the system, who are impacted by the system, okay? Let's take a look at this case study. This is the stakeholder identification for a learning management system, okay? Think about Moodle. This is the system that you use. Let's give a background context, okay? Monash University is a large, prestigious university that is planning to implement a new Moodle learning management system to enhance the teaching and learning experience for students and faculty. The university decided to adopt the LMS is driven by the need for a more robust and integrated platform that can support online courses, blended learning, and administrative functions. Stakeholder identifications and management are crucial to ensure the successful implementation of the LMS. Okay, so the first step, we need to identify the stakeholder. Can someone write in the Zoom chat who should be the primary stakeholders of the Moodle LMS here? Yep. Who are the right end users who use it? Yep, that's right. There are so many stakeholders, right? So yeah, it could be academic staff, the lecturer. It could be students who are the primary users as well. And we may need also need the admin, the IT operation team to access the LMS, manage the configuration, video recording, whatsoever. Okay, all right. Very good. Yep. So these are the primary stakeholder, right? First could be the faculty members. Of course, as a lecturer, we need to create the course content so that the student can access. All right. And another primary stakeholder is, of course, the student who access to the content, that kind of thing. And we also need the Monash e-solution as well to manage the whole system, okay? Operate, maintain the configuration of the LMS. We may another stakeholder could be the Monash Connect people as well. Let's say you cannot enroll the course, enroll the unit, that kind of thing, enroll the Moodle. So this kind of people can also help us as well, right? And we may need also LMS vendors, the Moodle development team, who can provide us the support. Let's say when we want to develop the new feature, think about the e-assessment platform or whatsoever. Okay, so these are some of the potential stakeholders of the Moodle learning management system. Okay, so it's more than just faculty member and the student, but we should include or consider IT department like Monash e-solution, admin staff like Monash e-connect people, Monash connect people, or the LMS vendors as well. Now, once we know who are the stakeholders, right, then we will determine what do they need, right, for each of them, for each of the stakeholder. Okay, so you really need the skill to elicit the requirement or discover the requirement from the client. This is not easy at all right? And the most important part to do effective requirement elicitation is that you need to understand their language, okay? Because from the teacher perspective, they may speak one language, right? But from the software engineering perspective, they may speak another language. Like, yeah, they just talk about, oh yeah, we need the feature like this, it should be like that, the box should be like this shape. But from the teacher perspective, we just say, oh, we need a very nice layout to present the content to the student, blah, blah, blah. They talk different thing, okay? So that's why as a software engineer, you need to understand what is the client language as well. And to do that, right, you need to understand that the domain model, okay, and the business model as well, and you need to verify verify the business model with the requirement. Okay, let's take a look at this example. What is that? First, what you need to do is to gain an understanding of the application domain. Okay, think about realestate.com, okay, property management system. You need to understand that with the property management system, who are the stakeholder, we may need like the renter, the property owner, or the property agent. Okay, these are maybe the three primary stakeholders, right? And then you try to understand like what do they need. For example, okay, I need to think on the fly. As a property agent, I should be able to manage the list of the property in my list like easily, that kind of thing. But as a renter, I want to find the cheapest view, the cheapest and the most beautiful property for me, that kind of thing, okay? But as a property owner, they may want to say that, you know, I really want to get the highest rental price as much as possible whatsoever. Okay, so different stakeholder, they have different needs, but the most important part is that you need to understand the business model and understand the language. All right. Okay, so yeah, that's what I mentioned to you before. Sometimes you need to construct a glossary or a word list. What is the technical word used in the domain and their meaning as well. Okay, very, very important. All right. Yep. Before we move on, okay, what must the product be able to do? Some of the misconception is that we fulfill the client full expectation. Instead, we as a software should help the client realize what they need in a more technical and controllable way. So what I mean is that sometimes, okay, the client may say that, hey, Kla, you know what? I really want the best good search engine in the the best search engine that is better than Google, that kind of thing. Okay, but you know, I have only 100K budget. Can you do that? Of course not, right? So that's why this is a kind of like a misconception. We need to manage the client expectation carefully. Okay, so you really need the skill. All right. Okay. Yep. Okay, I think let's do some poll again. Okay, some quiz. Yeah, some quiz. What is that? Present. What is the purpose of the requirement? This one we did that. All right. Next one. Requirement elicitation technique. I think I didn't cover that one yet. Yeah, okay. Maybe I should talk about this one. Okay, next. Requirement gathering technique, right? The purpose of the requirement elicitation or requirement gathering techniques are to discover what is the client requirement, and there are different approaches. For example, interviews, questionnaire. You can use the existing documentation as well and like go through each of them and see whether this is something that you want or not, that kind of thing. Okay, you can run a workshop, you can do the direct observation, you know, or you can use the digital prototyping, the rapid prototyping, the one that I mentioned in the first week. Okay, but let's go through one by one. Okay, what is the interview, that kind of thing. When you do the interview, okay, there are two types of the interview: closed-end questions and the open-end questions. Closed-end questions mean that you require some specific answer like yes or no. do you want this, like your choice, that kind of thing. Like okay, that's a closed end. But open end, it means that it is a question that you ask like a free form answer. Okay, you want the person who do the interview to speak out. For example, can you describe like why the existing mobile online shopping application is not good, that kind of thing. This is an open-end question. Okay, so the answer to that open-end question is not really specific, like not yes no, that kind of thing. Okay, and there are two types of the interview. All right, the above one is the two types of the question. Now we are talking about the two types of the interview. The first one is the structured interviews. It means that you already have the pre-planned questions that you really want to ask. But for the unstructured interview, it's about any question. It is open-end, and then you don't have any plan. Okay, like you start with some pre-planned 1 or 2 questions, but then later on you just try to deep dive into the details as much as possible. Okay. When you do the interview, when you elicit the requirement, the most important part that I really want to highlight here is that you need to understand why. Okay, the why question is so important. For example, the client may say that, you know, we need a better product feature, product recommendation feature. So the first question that you may want to ask is that why you need a better one, what is the motivation behind. That's the value, okay, as part of the Agile software development. Okay, Agile really values the values of the feature, that kind of thing. So that's why you should ask like why question. Why do you need that one? What is the motivation behind? If we implement this one, what would be the benefit? That kind of thing. Okay. Then as a product owner or product manager, you want to prioritize the backlog based on the customer value, right? What is the feature that actually deliver the most value to the customer? Okay. For example, the login may not provide any much values compared to the best shopping cart system or the new payment gateway that connect with the WeChat or whatsoever. Okay, Alipay, for example. All right. Okay, that's the interview. And the key aspect of the interview is that you want to interview all of the stakeholder, right? And you want to describe what is the business mission, determine how the success is measured, and that kind of thing. And when you do the interview, don't forget to interview the IT department as well. Okay, let's say I am a software house. I work in a software house. I work for Kohl's at the moment. Okay, and then Kohl's asked us to develop a new online shopping mobile application. And then probably we need to ask Kohl's as well, the IT department. Hey, right now are you deploying on the Amazon or Azure or Google Cloud, that kind of thing? What platform do they use at the moment? The database system, blah blah blah. Okay, so this is an example. That's why you need to do the interview all of the stakeholder, not just the client. But to do the interview, there is pros and the cons. Okay, it's not the best thing for of everything, right? The advantage is that when you do the interview, you can get like the first-hand impression from the business requirement. You create the relationship. You create try to solicit the opinions from the interviewee. Okay, and you typically get the high response rate as well because you know them and it can be recorded. But the disadvantage is that it takes time, right? Let's say you have 20 stakeholders. Each stakeholder take like 1 hour. So probably you need, 20 hours to elicit the requirement from these stakeholders already. All right. So it takes time. It is really time consuming. That's why another approach, we can use the questionnaire, right? We don't need to be synchronous. We do not need to meet face to face. But when we use the questionnaire, think about the Google form. You can just spread the survey, spread the questionnaire to the student, and then they can provide the response. Okay, they don't need to be with us all the time, right? It is less time consuming, it is more effective, but the downside here is that you may get low response rate. Okay, most of the time, you know, you may get like 5% response rate. You run the survey 200, you may get only 5 people to respond. This is an example. All right. And sometimes when the questions are not well understood, it is really hard for the people who do the questionnaire, fill the form. They cannot ask back as well. Okay. Another option is to use the existing document or the system, right? For here, this is really for the existing system. Some system that already exists, you may want to gather the requirement from using this document. Think about, you know, let's say you want to develop a new ATO, the tax management system. And instead of elicit the requirement from the tax agent, right? You just check the law, okay? What is the tax law? What is the tax policy? Every year it changes every year whatsoever. So you can develop the software based on that kind of policy rather than just talk to the tax agent, which is really expensive, right? Okay, this is an example. You can run a workshop, okay? The workshop can be like, you know, you want to get some shared understanding among the stakeholder. Everyone can be in the same room, you know, and we need someone to facilitate the discussion as well. And right now the Zoom, the workshop can be on Zoom as well, which is really convenient. And yeah, that kind of thing, okay, the workshop. But sometimes it is very difficult to organize because let's say you want to organize a workshop for 20 people and then you may really need 20 people to be available at the same time, right? To be in the same room, which is really difficult for the senior people or the executive people, that kind of thing, because they are quite busy. Their schedule is not really available, you know. So that's the downside of the organizing a workshop, okay? Another approach to elicit the requirement is to do the direct observation, right? This is sometimes when we rely on the interviews and the workshop, when we just listen to what do they talk or their description, right? It's not really like a deep understanding compared to you directly observe what happened in real world scenario, okay? And this figure actually shows, right, like to build to do some construction. When we dig the hole, how to dig the hole. And so when everyone, you know, CEO, CTO, marketing manager, everyone just look into the real world scenarios, real world problem here, you know, to dig the hole manually with just one shovel, it is so time consuming, it's not good, it's not, it is really labor intensive. So that's why we need some power tools, some machine to dig this kind of hole better, that kind of thing. Okay, once everyone, the team, the development team, really understand the problems, right? So that's why direct observation. How can I say? Once they see the real world problems, they have a better, they will have a deep understanding of what happened in real world. Yeah. Okay, this is an example. Direct observation. All right. Last one, okay, prototyping. As I mentioned to you before, rapid prototyping. It is frequently used nowadays, okay, and is right now we develop software using agile practices. We focus on the rapid iterative cycles, you know, early, rapid, and then incremental, deliver the working prototype. Sometimes when we use the requirement document, it is so hard to understand how the system should look like, right? So that's why when we use the rapid prototype, draw the wireframe, draw the diagram, that kind of thing, it will help the client better understand how the system is going to look like at the end, okay? How the final product will look like, that kind of thing. Yep. But in general, okay, there are some 10 common problems when you elicit the requirement, okay? First, the boundary of the system is ill-defined. If you don't define the boundary of the system, the feature, the technicality can be extended like unlimited. Okay, like today, yes, we have 5 features. Tomorrow we discuss again, oh, we have another 5. Next day, the day after, you got another 5. Now you have like 15 features already. If you don't define the boundary, it is so hard to deliver everything within the limited time frame. Okay. Unnecessary design information may be given, right? For example, when we develop this kind of system, the system should be like really user friendly, support the colorblind people, really highly accessible to everyone who cannot even speak, who cannot even listen or look at anything. Okay, so that's a very not like a, we should care about it, but we may need to prioritize, what are the most important features that we should develop or deliver first. Okay, stakeholder may have incomplete understanding of their needs. As I mentioned to you before, hey, look, I want a new feature that can actually increase the 10% sales profit. Okay, that's a really incomplete understanding but the key question is that as a software engineer, how to implement that feature, right? So we need to, have someone to bridge the gap between the high level requirement and the technical requirement. Okay, we may need some like a concept plan, okay, business model or business proposal to say that, hey, with this kind of technical requirement, it is likely to increase the sales profit by 10%. So we need some convincing statement as well. Stakeholders may have poor understanding of the computer capabilities and the limitation. Okay, yes, we need we want to integrate AI into the Kohl's online shopping mobile application. Okay, yeah, how? What kind of AI? Okay, what kind of model? Yeah, that's a very vague requirement, right? So because at the end, what kind of intelligent component that we really want to integrate, and or which feature that we want to make it more intelligent. Okay, software engineers have poor knowledge of the problem domain. Okay, this is very common because business domain, maybe they say, we need this page A, page B, page C, it should be like this for the tax compliance whatsoever. But as a software engineer, you may get confused, like, why do we need like 3 pages just to do something, right? Okay, sometimes you need to have a very good understanding of the problem domain. Most of the time, software stakeholders and the software engineers speak different language. This is a common problem. Obvious information is all omitted. Okay, this is common. It's like you thought that, I thought that the system should be user friendly. Okay, but then you don't say that in the requirement documentation, and at the end, the app maybe look like not good at all. This is an example. Different stakeholders have conflicting views. This is so common, right? And we have that comment in the Zoom chat as well. Yeah, what to do if the requirements from the customer and the stakeholders have a conflict, right? So we need to resolve the conflict before we develop any system. Anyway, okay. Requirements are vague and untestable, such as user-friendly and robust. This is a very vague requirement. When we say user-friendly, what do you mean by user-friendly? When we say, yeah, the system should be very robust to the hacker, that kind of thing. What do we mean by the robust, right? Requirements are very volatile and change over time. Nowadays, today, we have one feature. 1 year later, the client may say, hey, can we integrate the AI component into the product recommendation search, right? So yeah, this is like a common problem. Again, go back to the first bullet point. If you don't define the right boundary of the system, okay, do you remember the first week or the second week I talk about the scope creep, okay? Because the requirements can come whenever it will come, okay? That's why we need a skill to we need to write it down. This is the agreement. This is the requirement that we are going to develop, and how can we manage the requirement as well. Okay, all right, good. Now, I think we need to really do the quiz, okay? So, what is the purpose of the... Oh, no, sorry. This is the first question. Let's move on. All right. Which of the following is not a requirement elicitation technique? Okay, go for it. All right. Interview, survey, prototyping, testing. Which one is not the requirement elicitation technique? Should be easy. Let's go to the answer. Okay. Should be testing. Okay. Testing is not part of the requirement elicitation. And thank you. Okay. 89% of the students got it right. Is not a requirement elicitation technique. Okay. Emphasize again. Next. What is the difference between functional and the non-functional requirement? What is that? So the first choice, I cannot read everything, but that's okay. Okay. What is the difference? I cannot see the full sentences in my screen, but I think it should show the full sentence from your view. Okay. All right. Let's take a look at the correct answer. Okay. Yep. What is that? Yep. So the correct answer should be A. What is that? Functional requirement describe what the system should do, while the non-functional requirement describe how the system should perform, right? Okay, is that the right let me see, what is that? Where are we? 23 respond. Okay, I just want to read. Oh no, I cannot read it. Nope, I cannot, but that's okay. All right. Yeah. So it should be the first choice. Okay. It should not be the second one, because functional requirement doesn't describe how the system should do. Okay. It's not. Functional requirement describe what the system should do. That's the key point. Okay. That's the feature, and not why as well. All right. Go to the next question. Present. Instructions. Which of the following is not, all right, a good requirement? I hope everyone will get 100% correct here. Okay, all good. I think yeah, of course the good requirement should not be vague, right? So this vague is not a good characteristics of the requirement. Okay? 87%. Okay, all right, yeah. But you know, the good requirement, it should be unambiguous. It should be clear. Okay, it should be testable as well. As I mentioned to you before, when we say the system should have a user-friendly UI, you know, we cannot test it. What do we mean by user-friendly? This is not a good requirement. Okay, but if we say that the user interface should be responsive, okay, to the different screen size, it should follow the design principles, blah 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 blah, that kind of thing. That might be something that is testable, okay, and definitely complete, okay. So vague is not the right one, all right. Okay, so what is the purpose of the stakeholder identification? Why do we need to identify the stakeholder? All right, let's take a look at the answer. Should be all of the above, okay? Let's see. Okay, 92%, not too bad, okay? That's the purpose of the stakeholder identification, because first we need to identify all of the stakeholders involved in the project, right? Who are directly impacted by the software system. And then we need to prioritize, categorize. Do you remember? Primary stakeholders, secondary stakeholders, and the external stakeholders, okay? And then we need to understand the needs and the expectation of their stakeholder. That's why we need to identify. Yep. All right. Next one. Okay. Yep. You are working on a software project for a small startup. The project involves developing a mobile app for managing customer orders. Okay. Who among the following is likely to be a primary stakeholder in this project? Who? So you are developing a mobile app for managing customer orders. Okay. This one is quite tricky, You are working on a software project, okay, for a small startup. And this project actually involves developing a mobile app, okay, for managing customer orders whatsoever. So who are the primary stakeholder? All right, let's take a look at the answer, okay. Right. So that's why it is quite tricky, In this case, because you are working for the small startup, right? And then, so that means what? The small startup actually pay you the salary, okay? That's why the CEO of the startup may have the strongest power to design what kind of system that it should look like, or what are the functionalities of the software system, that kind of thing, okay? It should not be the local coffee shop whatsoever, because the real who pay the money for the project is the small startup. Okay, so I think that the right answer should be the CEO of the startup. Okay, it's a bit tricky. Yeah. All right. Next, you are working on a project to develop a new feature for an existing software product. Who among the following is likely to be the primary stakeholder for this project? You are working on a project to develop a new feature for an existing software product. Who are they? There's an existing product already. You are working on a project to develop a new feature for that. Who are the primary stakeholder? All right, let's take a look at the answer. I think in this case should be the customer who use the existing product. Okay. Yep, that's right. Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay, next, what is the requirement elicitation? What is that? I think, did we have this question before? Maybe no. Okay. What is the requirement elicitation? Yeah. This is really easy. All right. All right. Okay, let's take a look at the answer. Should be A. Okay, A. Very good. Thank you. Next one. Who are the stakeholders in the requirement elicitation? Who are they? Yeah. Who should be involved? Who are the stakeholders? Yeah. In the requirement elicitation. Yeah. The stakeholders, okay. Not the person who elicited the requirement, but we are talking about the stakeholders. All right, let's review the answer. Should be all individuals. The choice D. Okay, not too bad. 87%. Okay, you got it right. Next one. Okay, which of the following is the characteristic of the functional requirement? Okay, what is a functional requirement? What is that? All right, let's take a look at the answer. I think the answer should be B, I think. No, A. I would say this question is a little bit problematic, okay? I need to fix a little bit. Let me put this way. Let me double check, okay? Where is that? Where is that? Characteristics of the functional requirement. It's not about the how the system should behave, because that one is the should behave. Right. Yep. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it should be choice A. Yeah, sorry about that. I was confused myself. Okay. No, not behave, right? I confused myself. Behave, that's the non-functional requirement. Okay, it should be should do. That's the right word. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. That's the right word. Yeah. Does it make sense to everyone? Because when we talk about the behave, there's a behavior and then there's a non-functional requirement. Okay, so the right answer should be yes, A. They describe how the system should do. Okay, yep. All right, next, yep. What is the non-functional requirement? Okay. Yep, which of the following is a characteristic of the non-functional requirement? Definitely not A, okay. Yeah. All right, let's review the answer. Should be D dog, okay. They are related to the system performance and the usabilities. Well done, everyone, okay. Not about the algorithms and the logics. That's the quite the technical, the functionality of the software system, okay. All right, let's see next one. Which of the following is an example of the functional requirement? Okay, this is an example, all right, not the characteristic. What is the examples of the functional requirement? All right, let's go to the let's check one by one. Okay, the system should be efficient. This is a really vague and it doesn't describe the functionality of the software system, what the system should do. Okay, the system should have a user-friendly interface. Again, what does it mean by the user-friendly interface? This is not the functional requirement at all. Okay, because functional requirement should describe what the system should do, not the how the system should behave, that kind of thing. Okay, the system should be compatible with multiple browsers. Okay, yes, but what do we mean by compatibility? Okay, the system should be able to generate the report in the PDF format. I think this is the right answer. Okay, yep, all good, very good. Next one, which of the following is an example of the non-functional requirement? Non-functional requirement. When we talk about the functional requirement, what the system should do, and the non-functional requirement, how the system should behave. Oh, good. Okay, let's check the answer. All right, I think the answer should be C. Okay, let's see, everyone. Oh, okay. Right. So I would say that functional and the non-functional requirement, they are quite related. Okay, let me put this way. If I say that the system should be should handle many concurrent users, right? Handle, how can I say here? So when we provide the concrete number, okay, the non-functional requirements can become the functional requirement, because this is the system, what the system should do. Okay, because the system should be able to handle at least 1,000 concurrent users. This is what the system should do. That's why it is the functional requirement. Okay, the system should be able to recover from a failure within 5 minutes. This is what the system should do. It should be recover within 5 minutes. Okay, the system should be able to process transactions in real time. This is what the system should behave, right? Okay, behave, process the transactions in real time. Okay, but if we say the transaction processing time, okay, should be less than 1 millisecond, and that becomes the functional requirement. Does it make sense to everyone? Okay, the system should be able to generate the reports in less than 10 seconds. This is what the system should do. It should generate the report within 10 seconds. Okay, so what the trick here is that functional and the non-functional requirement, they are quite related. When we talk about the non-functional requirement, they are concerned about the usability whatsoever, performance, efficiency, and we cannot really quantify. But whenever we determine that what the system should do, that kind of thing, we put the numbers there, it likely becomes the functional requirement. Okay? All right. I hope it is clear to everyone. Yep. All right. Next, last but not least, which of the following is a characteristics of both functional and the non-functional requirement? What is that? I think I should skip this question. Okay. It doesn't work at all. Okay, let's go back to this one. All right. Thank you. Okay. Right now you understand different types of the requirement, how to elicit the requirement. Now we're going to talk about how can we document it. Okay. And most of the time, okay, people call software requirement specification, SRS. Okay. And it is the document that actually describes the functionality and the non-functional requirements of the software system. And this is an example of the structure, okay? Very traditional waterfall style, and you can check an example here as well. First of all is like a technical report, okay? You have the introduction, what is the purpose of the software system, what is you can mention about the document convention, okay? How the glossary, the word list, technical terms whatsoever. And the second section, okay, it describes the overall description, product perspective, product features, user classes, operating environment whatsoever. Now you describe the system feature, what is a functional requirement, okay, and what is a non-functional requirement, which is about the performance, safety, security, software quality attribute whatsoever. All right, this is an example. And these are the content, okay, the content structure, table of content of the SRS document. Very traditional. The good characteristics of the software requirement specification, right? So you should check the correctness of the SRS, okay? It should not be ambiguity, it should be clear, okay? Ambiguity should be avoided. The requirements should be complete and consistent, okay? And it should be able to verify. You should be able to verify the expected result. That means it is testable. Okay. When you talk about the system should be user friendly, it's not testable at all. Okay. It's not clear. You should have described the testing environment. For example, whether we develop the mobile apps for the Android operating system or the iOS, what is the testing environment across the devices, or just iPad and iPhone. What is the security and the performance criteria, and are there any assumptions should be avoided or not? Okay. All right. Actually, today's lecture is very quick. All right. I think we do the quiz, we do the requirement engineering today, and just want to remind you that there will be the deadline for the assessment one submission this Friday. Okay. Should be this week. Okay. All right. So I think everyone, you really want to have more time to work in a group for the assignment. I think this is a good opportunity, And if you have any questions about the assessment, you just go to the consultation sessions, okay? There will be a bunch for this week as well. You can check in Moodle, okay? We already published the consultation times, and the tutors will be able to help you, okay? All right, I think that's all for the requirement engineering today. And next week, we're going to talk about the week 5. We're going to talk about the software design and modeling, the UML diagrams, different types of the diagrams, that kind of thing, software design, and the purpose of the next week lecture is for the assessment too. Okay, so try to attend as much as possible. All right, beautiful everyone, and very beautiful day as well. So I hope everyone enjoyed the lecture today. Yeah, if you have any questions, you can put it in the ED STEM. And yeah, thank you so much everyone for your attention and the active participation in the quiz. Yeah, really appreciate. Bye bye. Yeah.